LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Clubhouse, a special edition of Likeable Leaders, because we are doing a series of interviews with Listening and Beyond Marketing Summit speakers, the folks that are going to be leading the charge July 29th and 30th, inspiring people, teaching people, connecting with people to help them get unstuck and build their businesses. And it is my great pleasure to introduce someone who I have met. Many of our speakers I have not met, but Ramon I have met. He's been in New York City marketing and entrepreneur circles for years. We've had the pleasure of meeting at least a couple times through the years. And Ramon Ray is the founder of smarthustle.com. He has started 4 companies and sold 2. He is an author. He is the original celebrity CEO. And yes, it's true. He was fired from the United Nations. Oh my goodness. So do I have a lot to talk about with you, Ramon. Welcome to Likeable Leaders today, sir.
Dave Kerpen, thanks for having me, man. It's good to be here. I thought, Dave, that I was a multitasker. I thought I was pretty darn good at it, that I was like the ninja of it. Until today, I realized I'm only like a number 7 on the multitasking scale. So Dave Kerpen, thanks for having me here today. And it's great to really speak at the Likeable Listening and Beyond Summit, I should say, listeningandbeyond.com/labs. I hope people check that out. I'm a speaker there, in addition to many other speakers that you can see in this forum here today and other part of the Likeable business. So thanks for having me here. And we're going to have a great time in person, July 29th and 30th, bringing my knowledge and so many others there today, Dave. So thanks for having me. And again, special shout out to my BFF, but I've never met yet in person, Sarah. So,
Ramon, I know a lot of your story, but for those that are watching on LinkedIn or YouTube or Facebook or listening on Clubhouse today, tell me a little bit about your story. You were fired from the United Nations. You went into entrepreneurship. You haven't really looked back since. Tell me about your story, and most important, a couple of the lessons that you've learned along the way.
Yeah, I think a few things, David, and I'll compress that story and you bring it out how much more you have. You know, sometimes it's hard to look at the clock, and so I want to make sure I respect the agenda today. But the summary of it is I was born in the Midwest. I'll start there. Grew up, though, in Brooklyn, New York, and now I live indeed close to it, New Jersey. And I think the entrepreneurial bug, Dave, was an accident. And here's what I mean. Some people may say, oh, since I was a kid, I wanted to do this or that, or my parents were this or that. My parents weren't. My parents are full-time ministers, you know, preachers, as it were. So I didn't really have that. Great parents, but it wasn't from them per se. But I recall, Dave, while at the UN, I got a job at the United Nations just to make extra money for school, meaning out of high school. So I was probably one of the youngest staff members to work at the United Nations, hired around the age of 20-ish, as I recall, give or take a few months. And there, good job, good people. But it's just like, I remember the first press conference, my boss said, Ramon, why don't you lead it? You know, as you may know, Dave, you've been around those circles, I'm sure. There's a decorum. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, bonjour. How are you? I came in, what's up, delegates? And he was like, no, Ramon. So metaphorically, Dave, that was kind of where I knew I was a bit different. And bottom line, I'll compress it though, there was a travel agent who was serving one of the offices in the UN. He's like, Ramon, can you help me with my computers? And that was my first company. And I realized, oh, he's going to pay me. I'm not doing this for lunch money. He's going to pay me. So there was a technology consulting company born, just me, but I dissolved that. Second company then was a blog, smallbiztechnology.com, which I sold 3 years ago. I started writing and then started my event business and sold that to another blogger. And now I have Smart Hustle. So the summary of it is, Dave, I think it was really reading good magazines, Inc., shout out to them, reading the Norm Brodsky, you probably know that name, reading those magazines and learning from those people. That's what I learned. And today, yeah, I never look back, love what I do. There's risk involved. It's hard, Dave, as we know, but I'm grateful, right? We're in the Likeable business room being grateful. I'm grateful for the lessons learned, and I'm grateful to participate in our amazing summit coming up July 29th and 30th.
Thanks, Ramon. If you're just joining us, if you're on Clubhouse, you're in the Daily Gratitude Room, but we are interviewing a special Likeable Leaders edition, Ramon Ray. If you're watching on LinkedIn and or YouTube or Facebook, hello, and post a comment. You can win one of my books or one of Ramon's books. We'll give away a couple of books to people that comment or ask questions. Ramon, tell me a little bit about what it means to be a celebrity CEO and why is that so important?
Yeah. And that's powerful, Dave. And I think that initially people may think it means the proverbial Kim Kardashian or Damon John or whoever we think of regular celebrities, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, whoever it may be. These are globally known Michael Jordan celebrities in that context. That's what I'm not talking about, Dave. So the concept of celebrity CEO is this concept that I encourage every business owner, as in fact, Dave Kirpin actually lives that. Every business owner can be well known in their market. You know, a Ramon Ray, or if I look here at the people joining us, Nara and the amazing people here, right, who are mods here, Jeff and others, most of us are not going to be globally known around the world. Even the Uber marketer Seth Godin says, most people don't know me. Most people don't know me at all. But in a business context, or right, in the clubhouse, Dave Kirpin, Sarah McCord, Mallory, Haley, Nara, and others who are joining us, as those who are looking at us on LinkedIn Live. I'm also looking at Clubhouse. So those people, they're celebrities on the platform. So that's, Dave, what the concept means. Be well known in your market. And two concepts I'll just share, two things I say. Ask for a smile before you ask for a sale. That's one. Two, build community, build a fan base to nurture people to a sale. So that's kind of my bedrock principles. I can talk about thousands of other things that you can, Dave, marketing and video and events and all these things, but build that community, ask for a smile. That's how you make sales.
I love ask for a smile first. I'm a big fan, and I've been asking for smiles for a long, long time. I have these big, giant, likable orange foam fingers that always generate smiles for people. Actually, now I have a bunch of extras, and now that we've sold the company, I got to figure out a way to get rid of them. Maybe I'll give them away. In fact, Sarah, I'm going to give away my final giant orange foam fingers at the Listening and Beyond Summit. That I've just the bonus in the swag bag. We're going to get some giant foam fingers in there. And I also really love building community. And what I love about building community is it's free. It takes time. It takes sweat equity, but it's free. And for many folks that are just starting out, they might not have huge resources, but they have time. We all have the same exact amount of time, Ramon. And so if we spend our time smartly, AKA building community and asking for smiles, we can all become our own version of the celebrity CEO over time. I'm not going to make you dig in to more because I got to leave them wanting more at the Listening and Beyond Summit that you will give them when you speak. I know, in New York City. And by the way, if you're watching, send me a note, private message, DM me the word summit, SUMMIT. You can do it on Clubhouse. You can also do it on Instagram. You can also do it on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I'm gonna one more. You can't DM me on YouTube, so fine. But wherever you're watching, except YouTube, you can DM me the word summit, and I'll hook you up with a special discount for the Listening and Beyond Summit. Ramon, before I open it up to questions from our listeners and viewers, I have one more question that I ask everyone, and you've heard some of my Celebrity Ask Me Anything interviews, so you probably know what the question is already. But here goes. What's the biggest mistake of your life, and what did you learn from it? Biggest mistake of your life, and what did you learn from it?
I think I'm going to give two mistakes, Dave, and it could be one, but I know time is short, but you can feel free to push back or help me unpack this myself. But I think two, one, I rush quite a bit, and I know many of us entrepreneurs do. What do they say? Shoot first and aim second. I've done that my whole life. I'm a spaghetti thrower. Let's just try it, and see what works. But of the last few weeks, I'm in a men's group. One of the gentlemen told me, Ramon, and we kind of sharpen each other, if you know what I mean. He said, you probably just need to practice more contentment. Because I'll look at somebody else, oh man, how did Dave get to shake the hand of, whoever famous person? And I'm like, well, I shook the hand of somebody last week. I'm always looking at, oh, wow, So he said, be content. So those are, I think, the biggest mistake of meaning rushing in too fast. But then again, Dave, I wonder, that's kind of Ramon. But I wish I slowed down some, because I think over the years, I would have probably made less big mistakes.
Yeah, I love that. My wife actually writes about the effect of social media and noticing in people's feeds, the grass is always greener, and it's a big challenge, and it's a really important thing to work on. And I can tell you, as somebody that has had the 8-figure exit and yada yada yada. it doesn't get any easier. I mean, there's always richer people. There's always people with bigger houses and bigger cars and bigger companies. And so the challenge that I have, is to exactly to your point, Ramon, is contentment, which, by the way, I find, to bring us back to our original room here on Clubhouse, at least, I find gratitude is the ultimate solution to this issue of not feeling content and wanting more. When I channel gratitude, which is why I do it like at least 3 times a day, when I channel gratitude, I am truly able to be happy with what I have and not be like looking at the next thing and looking at the next social media feed, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so talk about multitasking. Here's what I'm going to do before I let you go, Ramon. I'm going to take some questions. If you have a question for Ramon Ray, founder of smarthustle.com, entrepreneur that started 4 companies and sold 2, a best-selling author, celebrity CEO, and yes, fired from the United Nations. Simply flash your mics on Clubhouse or post your question as a comment on LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube, and I will get to as many questions as I possibly can.
And Dave?
Trying not to look all in the same place at once. Sorry, Ramon, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Dave, I want to honor. I know you're a giver. You have your AMAs on Sunday, so this is like a mini AMA for me. I would like to give, what can I say? I'll give 5 copies of Celebrity CEO. I want to just say, make the bar high. Anybody who signs up for the summit, I'd like that to happen. listeningandbeyond.com/labs. Please check out July 29th and 30th in New York City live. I encourage all of you to check it out, listeningandbeyond.com. But to make it a little bit easier, to say thank you all for listening to me and Dave and being in this room today, everybody who just DMs me, I'll make it easy, or comments or pings me in some way today, I will send you for free a copy of Celebrity CEO. So the first 5 people who do that, why don't we do that?
Wow, that is very exciting. It was so exciting and so startling. And I was checking LinkedIn comments at the same time that I couldn't control myself. Sorry for the dead air. But again, one of the downsides to massive multitasking, plus my apprentice is on the West Coast and I did not make her wake up at 6:20 a.m. today. Christina normally produces our shows, and we gave her the very early morning off, and so I am managing it all on myself. I know it's a big problem. I should never have done that, but with the kindness, it's too much. So thank you, Ramon, for giving away 5 copies of your book. I did see a bunch of comments on LinkedIn, but I did not see a question. So I'm going to ask you one more question, and then I will give one more chance to folks watching and listening to ask questions, and then we will move on. What would you say? So this is a direct kind of summit / dare I say hard-hitting question in the real world of COVID. I mean, we've been talking up this in-person event, but the truth is a lot of people are still a little nervous about in-person. And for me, I mean, I'm vaccinated, and honestly, I'm really, really anxious and excited to hug people and high five people and see people in person. But what would you say to the people that are watching or listening that are really thinking about Listening and Beyond Summit and thinking about doing something so social, but have been cooped up inside for the last year and a half, and don't know what to think with all the news and the whole 9 yards, and they're a little anxious and about being social again? What would you say to those folks?
Now, great question. So, Dave, here's my answer about coming to the Listening and Beyond Summit, July 29th and 30th, listeningandbeyond.com, that I would say. I think a few things. One, we appreciate and we understand your concerns, very valid concerns. Dave's concerned. I'm concerned. That's one. We appreciate that. Point number 2, we, Listening and Beyond, gratefulness, we want to do everything we can to keep you safe. So we're going to do our best to make sure we're smart about what we're doing. Point number 3, many people, especially in the New York area, are vaccinated. And again, not that vaccinators are perfect and all those things, but doing our best, whatever the government says. That's 3. 4, you can protect yourself. If you want to wear your mask, be a little distant. I believe, Dave, there's an element of outsiding-ish. I could be wrong, so correct me in a minute, to that. So my point being is that if you can go to 7-Eleven, pick up a bottle of milk or cigarettes, if you can go visit your Aunt Mary and watch Netflix with her, you can't spend a few hours growing your business and investing in your business and coming away with like hundreds of thousands of dollars of tips. That's just what I'm saying. You probably took got in your car. You know, there's probably more accidents happen in a car in one day than you'll ever experience at Listening Beyond Summit. So bottom line, we appreciate your concerns. We appreciate that. But listen, America's opening up. And how much better to open it up with the Listening and Beyond Summit. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and especially what better place than New York City, which I grew up in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. I didn't realize we had the Brooklyn connection, Ramon, but that is very exciting. And I try not to be bigoted, but I have a little bit of bigotry against everyone that's not from New York, because I love New York and I love my fellow New Yorkers, and at least I can admit it. I am a little bit New York centric, I think would be the right way to say it, as some New Yorkers tend to be. I know that non-New Yorkers think that's a little bit arrogant. I get it. But what can I say? The New York people, we do love. And by the way, I cannot say the person's name out loud, but what I will say is one of the people that you mentioned, who is from New York, is very likely going to be announced as a keynote speaker at the Listening and Beyond Summit in the next few days. Stay tuned for details about that name. Yes, it is true. Okay, before we wrap up, I do believe Sarah is flashing her mic and had a question for you, Ramon Ray. Sarah, you're up.
Thank you so much, Dave. Ramon, the quote that you mentioned that I often associate with you is ask for a smile before you ask for a sale. And one question I have for you is that you have this infectious energy. Like the moment you speak, you're warm. Like I want to smile the moment you speak. But my question is, how would you advise someone, not me, I also think I'm pretty outgoing, but like, I'm curious how you advise people who maybe have a different energy. Maybe someone who's shy or introverted or maybe uncomfortable. People come up to stage all the time on Clubhouse and say, I'm nervous to be here. How would you encourage those people to find a smile from whoever they're engaging with first, if maybe that's not their energy? This is Sarah speaking.
Awesome. And I want to give props to Sarah also. She runs so many things, has 1,000 different titles. So Sarah, I just want to give props to you and hope everybody follows Sarah. Really the power and force behind many of the things I know Dave's doing in Likeable Business, et cetera. So Sarah, shout out to you. But here's what I'd say. One, God's made us all different people. Everybody can't be as gregarious and loud and crazy as maybe Dave is, or me, or others who have that in our gene. We're just like that. We laugh at ourselves easily. We don't get embarrassed easily. If ketchup's on our shirt, we'll pour more ketchup on it to match both sides and continue speaking. That's just how we roll. So that's one. Two, for those who are not that way, you have a gift probably that I wish I had. Maybe you're more thoughtful. Maybe you're slower to speak. Maybe you're more introspective. Maybe you say thank you faster than I say thank you. So I'm encouraging you that although you may not be able to smile or have the energy, maybe, and thank you, Sarah, that you may see others have, there's something you have that's very special. Find that and work that into whether your sales, your relationship, your speaking, your stage. And last thing I'll say, and I heard this in our room, Sarah, we did yesterday, brought to you by 99 Designs by Vistaprint, is that practice. The more you're in a Clubhouse room, especially with someone like Dave, who's a nice guy, he doesn't like trolls, but a gentle guy, you stutter a bit, he'll say, that's okay, Mary, try it again. He won't slam you. Practice, practice, practice. And by the third or fourth time you're in a room, you'll be more comfortable.
Awesome. And I promised the winners, and there are a whole bunch of commenters on LinkedIn. So I'm going to choose a winner of a copy of my book, your choice of my books, although The Art of People is the newest. You probably want that one. I'm just saying. And Ramon Ray's book. Susan Van Saint, send me a direct message with your address. You commented about the foam fingers, because who wouldn't comment about giant foam fingers? And you're going to win 2 books just for your comments. So congratulations, Susan. Ramon Ray, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can folks get a hold of you if they want to learn more about the man that was fired from the United Nations, started 4 companies, sold 2, author, celebrity CEO, founder of smarthustle.com? Where can folks learn more?
Absolutely, Dave. And again, thanks for having me. I'm so glad to see you. If I don't see you earlier at the Listening and Beyond Summit, but just check out smarthustle.com or RamonRay.com. Dave, thanks for having me, and blessings to you.
And I want to wrap us up by saying thank you very much, Ramon Ray, for joining us. Thank you to Christina, my apprentice, for setting the interview up and setting up these massively challenging technical aspects of this interview. And thank you for everyone that is watching on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn or listening on Clubhouse. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, DM me the word summit if you want information about the Listening and Beyond Summit, or go to listeningandbeyond.com and have a super, super likable day. Bye for now.